Hello, and welcome to this week's live here in Journey to Lasting Love. I am your host, Tina Shayani, and the founder of this group. I'm also the head coach at T-Shay Coaching, where we help people attract and build lasting, loving relationships. As always, I am happy to welcome you here today. If you are watching on replay, please leave a comment so that I know that you were here. If you know someone who would benefit from this material, please invite them to our community. Let's work together to grow this community so that we could benefit the maximum number of people. So, let's jump right into this week's topic, going out into the world with confidence. What does the life of a confident person look like? What does it feel like to be truly confident? How would you behave differently if you had a deep sense of confidence within you? Let's take a moment to think about this. Well, if we were confident, we would say what is on our mind. We would pursue our dreams. We would do the things that we want to do, and how different everything would be. And it would be so much easier to just make contact with the world around us. But how do we get there? How can we get from where we are now with all of our bundles of insecurities to a place of confidence? And what would it feel like to have that confidence? Well, I'm going to tell you, it would feel really, really great. And if you could go out into the world and know that no one is judging you and nobody is going to think poorly of you, how differently would you behave? And why is it that we are not doing it now? What if we were to say, you know what? I am going to do what I want to do to gain the things that I want to get, to achieve the things that I want to achieve, and I'm going to just do it. What do you think would happen? You know what would happen? We would achieve those things. The only thing that is holding us back is ourselves, our own insecurities. If I could give you a guarantee that no one was going to think poorly of you, that no one would judge you, would you do those things? Would you do them? And what is it that you would do? What if we had a list of things that we want to do, but we have been too afraid to do? Something is holding us back. What would happen? We would achieve those things. But so very often when I say this to somebody, and I know you're thinking it now, it's that, yeah, but, I don't, yeah, but, I know what you're saying and it makes sense intellectually. Yeah, but it's different for me. My fear, my insecurity, the reason that I am not confident is a real thing. You can say that about other people, but my reason is real. And then you would go on to show me the reasons and tell me the reasons why you have this insecurity and back it up. And so very often, and watch when you speak to other people, mention something about confidence and insecurity and why don't you do X? What is holding you back from achieving your dream? And everyone will come up with that, well, it's really different for me statement. And people fight for their limitations. Do you know how much time I spend on the phone with my clients that they are trying to convince me why they don't deserve things, why they are bad, why they are limited, and what's wrong with them? Let's let this go. Let's recognize it, that it is something that's not as true as we think. There may be something to it, but it's really not as true and it's not as important as we make it to be. You know what? Not a single one of us is perfect, not even one. But what if we were to let go of those limitations based on our imperfections and go ahead and do it anyway, what would happen? Would we explode? Would we be jailed? What would happen? You know what would happen? We would achieve those things that we dream about achieving by putting ourselves out there and being available and not being afraid of that worst case scenario. And what is so very often, that worst case scenario is someone judging us. So let them. Who cares? Because the truth is that our biggest judge and critic is not someone who is out there, it's someone who is in here. We are our very own worst judge and critic. Let's say that you go out and you do something or say something utterly humiliating, right? The other person that you say that humiliating thing to, or you do something humiliating in front of, let's say you come out of the bathroom and you have your skirt tucked in your underwear and you walk across the room. People are going to laugh at you in that moment. Maybe they'll go home and they'll even tell their friends, I was at this place and the woman walked across the stage with her underwear, with her dress tucked into her underwear. Ha ha ha. A day or two, 2 days, whatever, however long, if it lasts a long, long time, for however long it lasts in that person's mind, they're going to forget about it. But you are the person that is going to replay that incident in your mind over and over and over again. So if we can let that go and if we can forgive ourselves, even for those things that we see as humiliating, how much happier we will be, how much further we can get in our lives if we could just let it go. If we can say to ourselves, this is something that happened, it's very embarrassing, but now it's over. And if we can stop rehashing it and replaying it in our minds, then it will blend away because other people are not that interested in us. They are more interested in themselves and they are very busy with their own internal conversation. So when we understand that, we can let go and we can allow ourselves to live in the world with confidence. We can let go of this judgment of ourselves because it's really not as important as we think it is. Our insecurities, our reasons for holding back are far less important than we believe them to be. And we all know those people. There are certain people that go out into the world, and I don't want to say that they're nothing special because everyone is something special, but they are average. They are average at best. They're not someone that you would look at and say, wow, she is gorgeous. She is brilliant. He is whatever. They are average at best, but they carry themselves as if they are incredible, as if they are amazing. And guess what? Everybody else around them, including you and me, believe them. Everybody else believes them because they speak as if they are sure of what they are saying. They have a confidence that you can feel, and we believe them when they tell us how incredible they are. The very opposite is true, and we all know these people that are better than average, that are really special, that do amazing things, but are very hard on themselves. And they are insecure. And you look at them and you say, oh, I wish they weren't that way. This is a really great person. But when they go out into the world, people will look at them as if they are less than they truly are. So we tell people who we are. So who is it that we want to be? Do you want to be this insecure person? who is beaten down by life, who is hiding, who is playing small so that you are not judged? Or do you want to be the person that takes the chance, that puts yourself out there and has the ability, has the opportunity to achieve the things and be the person that you dream about being? You know, very often, and this has happened to me often in my life also, if you don't try, you don't fail. And we are so afraid of this silly failure that's really just in our imagination, that we don't do things and we keep ourselves small and we prevent ourselves from going out into the world and achieving the things and doing the things. So if we can learn this one skill, if we can learn to turn our internal critic into an internal cheerleader, everything in our life changes. So there is actually an exercise that I do with my clients that does exactly that, because our internal critic is not going to go away. That voice inside our heads is not going to disappear. And there is nothing that we can do to silence it, but we can reassign that voice. We do have the ability to reassign that person in our heads to be our cheerleader and to propel us forward instead of always holding us back. That voice, that inner critic, that its job is to protect us, but really all it's doing is protecting us from success. Who needs that protection? So if we can turn this voice into an internal cheerleader, if we can build up our own confidence through the person that is talking to us, if every time we want to say, yeah, but my reason is legitimate, if we can find a way to let go of this reason, then everything will begin to change. Everything will slowly begin to shift. So I'll give you an example of something in my personal life. So my husband is that person who tells you with confidence. When he tells you something, you believe him. And sometimes he really doesn't know what he's talking about. But don't tell anybody that. Sometimes he really doesn't know. But he says it with such confidence that people believe him. We were going together last week to drop off a tennis racket for our son, and he said, I'm going to the place by the railroad. And I said, you know what? It's not by the railroad. He goes, no, I know, it's by the railroad. So I said, okay, he must know something that I don't know. Maybe Ryan said something to him and I don't know about it. So we drove to the place by the railroad and we got there, and it was the wrong place. And I said, no, I've been there with Ryan before. This is the wrong place. He goes, well, why didn't you say anything? And I laughed because at first I was annoyed because I said, you know, I did say something, but it wasn't him. It was me, because he said it with such conviction. My insecurity was that, oh, I must be wrong and he is right. But I knew where I was going. So do you understand what is happening here? It is because I lack the security in my own ability to know where we're going, that I let him take the lead, even though I knew it was the wrong thing. So after that incident, I said, you know what? I'm going to be more confident in my convictions. I'm going to speak up more. And very often I put off speaking up when I want to have a not difficult discussion, but a discussion that would be a discussion. I put it off. I'm like, oh, we'll talk about it later. We'll do it later. Will this, will that. So the last month or so, after the tennis racket incident, I said, you know what? I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say what I want to say when I think of it, and I'm not going to put it off until later. And guess what? It's been a great experience. It's been so much better because I say what I need to say, and it's not as big a deal as I imagined it to be, and things get done. And maybe sometimes someone may not like that thing, but it needs to be said sooner or later. So better to say it sooner. And the more I do it, the easier it becomes. The first time it was very hard. The second time it was still very hard. But each time I kind of remind myself that it's not as scary as I imagine it to be. And I say what I need to say, and 95% of the time, it's not the big deal that I imagined it to be. And the person, usually Stephen, that I'm having that conversation with is like, oh, okay, that sounds good. And I had made this whole big thing of it in my head. So this is something that I'm working on, and I invite you to work on it with me as well, to have that sense of confidence and be okay with putting yourself out there and to be vulnerable to somebody else, to be vulnerable to the world, because the thing that we are so afraid of is really not as bad as we imagine it to be. It's not actually the big bad wolf. And even in the worst case scenario of humiliation, we are not going to die, and it will not last forever. So if we can say to ourselves that I can do this, I'm going to be okay, I can take this step forward, and start with small steps. No matter how small the step is, it is a step. So let's start taking these steps, and let's start when we hear the voice of our inner critic putting us down, telling us to be small, instead of saying, yeah, but that critic is right. I really need to lose 8 million pounds, and I really need to get Botox, and I really need all the crazy things that we say to ourselves. If only I had this, that, or the other thing, then I would be okay. If we can understand that all of these excuses is our own bullshit, if we can put this bullshit aside, then our inner confidence has the ability to shine through. And everyone that we meet out in the world is going to see our magnificence. But the very first person that needs to see that is ourselves. If we can see ourselves in that confident light, if we can see ourselves as someone worthy, of someone that deserves the things that we want, then everything will change. And watch how the world and everything around you lines up for that thing to be true. The world is not trying to prevent you from being happy. The only person preventing you from being happy is you and me. It's ourselves. And if we can recognize that, if we can see that as a truth, because it is the truth, and if we can let go of that, yeah, but, then there is nothing in this world that we cannot achieve. I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you can work with me, and together we can let go of our yeah buts. We can stop being committed for the reasons that we stay small, for the reasons that we are insecure, and instead we can be confident. We can be confident in our own abilities. We can be confident in our own worthiness, and we can be confident that we deserve the good things that life has to offer. Because really, why not? Why not? Here comes the yeah, but. Put all of your yeah, buts into the garbage and say, I deserve the good things in life. I deserve this. I am smart enough. I am attractive enough. I am kind enough. And people want to be with me. If you can go out into the world like that, imagine the things that you could do, then nothing will stand in your way. I invite you to do this with me. And if you have comments, if you have suggestions, tell me your thoughts. Do this just a little bit with me. Try it. The next time you have that insecurity and you put off and you convince yourself that you can't do it, try. Just try a little bit. Do a little bit and see how it goes. Let me know how it goes. Try it, try it. Send me a DM, comment here, and let me know how it goes. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this inspired you to understand that you have no reason to not be confident. So let's put our confidence together. Let's stand up tall and let's go out into the world and achieve the things that we dream about. Let's have all the good that the world has to offer for ourselves and those around us, and let's spread it to the entire world. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to speaking to you again live here next Wednesday, and I wish you a wonderful week. Take care, guys.